All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, they lost 3 of 4 to the Dbacks over the weekend. They're now 6 games back of the final wild card spot in the National League. They start a 3-game series with one of the teams in front of them, the Marlins, tonight. 6:40 first pitch, Michael Wacha on the mound versus old friend Ryan Weathers for the Marlins. Moving over to Aztec basketball, they released their conference schedule today for the upcoming season, with Tuesday, January 2nd, being their first conference game. It will be at home versus Fresno State. And it's Aztecs football week as their season kicks off this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium versus Ohio, 5 p.m. kick. 2 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now save even more with $50 off your print and marketing services. Offer of $150 or more. Offer ends 8/26. Visit staples.com/print for details. Save your business at Staples.
All right, John and Jim back with you on this Monday afternoon. We have a really good show lined up. Hopefully, by the way, everyone is doing well, safe and sound from the storm on
Absolutely.
This Monday. Sun is out again in San Diego. It's good to have good weather back. Dave Velasquez is going to check in with us in a moment. San Diego State longtime assistant. Garrett Fountain, San Diego State defensive end. It is game week for the Aztecs football team. He'll join us coming up at 5:15. And Craig Mish on the Marlins. He's covered the Marlins for a long, long time. Marlins are here. Ryan Weathers starting tonight. Skip Schumacher back. Interesting little series.
Josh Bell back in the house.
Yeah, exactly. So that's coming up tonight at 6:40.
So many opportunities for me to retweet former Padres this series.
There really will be.
Unfortunately.
There really will be. Okay, so we're going to try to catch up with Dave Velasquez in a moment. Before we do that, do we want to sneak in a call on the Padres?
Let's sneak in a call on the Padres.
Let's sneak in a call on the Padres. 844. Actually, you know what? Dave Velasquez is calling right now. We'll get to the calls on the other side.
Okay.
On the Padres, if you want to weigh in, is the season over or not? 844-570-1360. Again, 844-570-1360. We mentioned Aztec football, Aztec basketball, just 2 months away, coming off a national championship game appearance. San Diego State's Mountain West schedule was released today. Let's look ahead to the upcoming season with longtime Aztec assistant Dave Velasquez back with us on John and Jim. The all-new San Diego Sports 760. Coach, it's always our pleasure. Hope you're doing well, and thanks for taking some time for us today.
Appreciate you guys having me. It's been a long time, but excited that starting school tomorrow. We're supposed to start today. We started virtually, and we'll get back to work today. We had a great summer program with our guys, and we're ready to get back after it starting tomorrow.
All right, so Dave Velasquez with us. We're a couple of months away, as we just said. Mountain West schedule is out. You always typically know your opponent. You'll miss someone at home. You miss someone on the road. We've seen some of the non-conference schedule come out over bits and pieces over the last couple of weeks and months. When you look at this schedule in general, what do you make of what you have ahead here in 2023-24?
Well, again, it's one of the most challenging schedules we've ever put together. We feel like we have a team that can handle it, just like we felt we had a team last year that can handle it. And I feel like we're going to be challenged enough in the non-conference to prepare us to defend our title as the Mountain West League champions coming in January. And again, Mountain West is a beast of a schedule. No matter how you do it, no matter what year it is, okay, you got to be honest. Happy that we don't have to go to Laramie, Wyoming this year. But to be honest, it's just every game's tough in this league, and the travel's brutal. But at the same time, we prepare ourselves with the opponents in the non-conference to get ready for conference.
And for you, Coach, how has summer practice gone so far? You got a lot of returning players, newcomers as well, transfers. So how has summer practice gone coming off the national title run?
It's been great. You know, we have a team full of gym rats, a team full of guys that are coachable. They're all about winning, and they're about getting better every single day. And so many guys have stepped up and have improved so much since the last time you guys have seen him, and since the last time we played against UConn in the national championship game. There's been everybody that's on our team has improved over the summer, especially even the returners. They've done a great job in already leading the new guys and letting the new guys know how we do things around here and how we approach every day and how we approach every single day to win. And they've done a really good job. It was a very fun summer and productive summer.
Dave Velasquez with us right now, San Diego State longtime assistant coach, of course, for the Aztecs. So you mentioned some of the returnees, and we saw some of the best basketball of the careers of both Lamont Butler and Jaden LeDee in the NCAA tournament. But to some extent, when you hear what Brian Dutcher said throughout the tournament, even in the offseason, talked about how they continue to grow and develop. What are your expectations for Lamont and Jaden coming off of last year?
We expect a lot out of them, but it's funny. It's as much as we expect a lot out of them. We expect a lot out of Darren Trammell.
Sure.
We expect more out of Elijah Saunders and Miles Bird and these guys that have been with us. And it's in our newcomers. So again, I see Lamont and Jaden on a lot of the media stuff we put out there, but we have a lot of guys that we're relying on to continue to help us win. But Lamont and Jaden have done an excellent job building off that run that we had. And like you said, they played some of their best basketball of their life towards the end there. And that's what we want. And, Darren Trammell was South Regional MVP, for coming off that run that we had. So exciting times for us and excited for what our guys are going to look like coming this year. And like I said, the summer is just like it's basically like the first chapter in a very long season and a very big book, but we put that behind us. And like I said, we'll be back we literally get to start practicing again tomorrow. With basically fall workouts until the beginning of official practice at the end of September.
Yeah, we can't wait. Coach, how do you think this year's roster with a lot of returning players compares to last year's roster?
That is a good question, but I will say this. Last year's roster was completely, was so much experience that it's just so hard to replace in so many different ways. And a lot of it had to do with that COVID year. We had, with the NCAA, we weren't the only ones. Every team had the option, but we had a lot of guys take their fifth and sixth year that they might not have got without that COVID season. And we obviously took the most advantage of it as you possibly could. But just the leadership and just the overall experience of last year's team is the hardest that we're going to have to replace. But like I said, we've had a lot of guys, a lot of returners, and a lot of guys that we're going to be relying on to step up. And, everyone's going to be excited to watch us play as usual. But, I think the bullseye is even bigger than it's ever been, when San Diego State's on your schedule.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Dave Velasquez with us right now. Aztecs, couple of months away from opening up a title defense of the Mountain West, a season in which they went to the national championship game. Okay, so going back to some of these newcomers, right? Because you've got transfers, Jay Powell, Reese Waters from SC, Jay Powell from Campbell out east. What do you make of these new players, and what do Aztec fans, or what should Aztec fans expect from those two?
Well, Reese Waters is, coming off Sixth Man of the Year in the Pac-12, so he's already done it at this level, and we know he's going to be a big-time contributor for us. It's going to be how does he mix in with like we just talked about, all the other returning guys, and what's his role going to be, and how quickly can he adjust to playing the level of defense that we expect and we demand out of our players. But he's done an unbelievable job. He's a guy that he fits our culture so well because he just loves being in the gym. He loves getting better. And then with Jay Powell, he's a Swiss Army knife. He can play so many different positions. He can defend so many different positions. He's incredibly skilled. So he's a guy that will be all over the floor, and he'll be out there, and we'll be relying on him a lot. And there's a couple freshmen that we're gonna ask to have step up, and a guy that probably not many people they've seen maybe his dunks and layup lines. They haven't seen him play, but DeMarshe Johnson, who will hopefully be a rim protector for us and help us kind of continue that defend to win mentality we have, and bring some toughness on that defensive side of the floor. And so, yeah, it's exciting times. And Miles Heidi, a freshman that we have, is another big guy that we're going to expect to play. So, again, it's another deep team, which I don't think people really understand how good that is for us. But this team is very, very deep. And that's exactly what we had last year. And we want to continue to have that kind of 8-9 man rotation on a night-to-night basis.
And for you, Coach, what's the value just, of last year's run to the national championship mean for your players on the team right now and players coming in and student athletes coming into this program in the future?
With the returning guys, it's one of the things we always expect to win, but to have that confidence and an aura that every day we're building to hopefully get back to that Final Four, get back to a national championship game. I mean, that's what we talk about now. Where in the past it was kind of like it was just a dream. It was something that we wanted to achieve, but we did it, and we can do it, and we want to do it again. So that's part of it. And then obviously with the run you go on, you put you on a whole different pedestal when it comes to recruiting, especially the high school kids. We've had we're doing a really good job. All of our assistants, Coach Dutcher, doing a really good job of this year's high school recruitment of some guys, and And so it's been incredibly helpful. You can't put any type of value on it because it's invaluable. It's incredible what that kind of run can do, and you have to try to build off it. You can't rest on your laurels. You have to get back to work. And like I said, I feel like everybody in our program and our administration and university, they have our back to continue to build this and continue to try to get back there every single year.
Coach, before you go, I'm just curious. I mean, it would be easy to say Lamont Butler shot, but when you look back in the tournament, the whole process, the whole 3+ weeks, was there a favorite moment or part on court, off court for you as you experienced it, or was it as simple as, hey, Lamont shot against FAU?
It's hard to ever beat that one.
Yeah.
But I will say this. But you got to realize, 21 years, boys, I've been here. 21 years. This is all I know of San Diego State. It's truly who I am. It's how people identify me. It's how I identify myself. And when we showed up to that Final Four and we showed up to that stadium and you walked out and you saw San Diego State everywhere, I have the chills, and it got so emotional for me. It almost came to tears of, we did it. We did it. We all those times of sitting on so many families' couches and so many recruiting meals with Coach Fisher and Coach Dutcher. I mean, 21 years of saying, we're going to get there. We are going to take San Diego State to a Final Four. We are going to get there. And to actually do it and be a part of it and to see it and feel it, obviously Lamont's shot is something. I mean, there's a million moments that's going to be hard to beat. But that moment walking into that stadium, the first time we got off that bus was unbelievable.
What a season it was, and what a season hopefully it will be for San Diego State coming up in November. Dave Velasquez, longtime assistant at San Diego State. Coach, we always appreciate your time. We're looking forward to catching up between now and November, and thanks for doing it today.
You guys are the best, and go Aztecs.
We appreciate it. Dave Velasquez, again, coming off a national championship game. We're going to get back to the Padres on the other side. Why this isn't Bob Melvin's fault, despite how you feel. Why this isn't Bob Melvin's fault. Plus, is it over? 844-570-1360, 70470. Start your message with team. That's next. All right, we want to hear from you. Is it over for the Padres or not? 844-570-1360, 70470. Start it with team. Plus, is this Bob Melvin's fault? That's next. All right, is it over? John and Jim back with you on this Monday afternoon. Really good show lined up for you today. Craig Mish covers the Marlins, a very interesting team that will pitch Ryan Weathers tonight against the Padres at Petco with Skip Schumacher as their manager.
Nothing could go wrong there.
No, everything's fine.
Everything was going to be perfectly fine.
This is an easy series and an easy night.
What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
Ryan Weathers going 6+ innings and giving up 1 earned run and striking out 7 and walking 3.
That couldn't happen.
That's not going to happen.
What's the line here? I'm always curious with this.
I'd have to say the Padres are favorite, right?
Who's pitching for the Padres?
Waka.
I can't find that right now. Let's go to the phones because people want to weigh in. Is the season over or not? We're going to hear from Ken Rosenthal on Bob Melvin, by the way, coming up in a moment. But let's start on the phones. Mo's been very patient. 844-570-1360. Simple question, guys. Is it over or not? Mo, you're on with John and Jim. Thanks for calling.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. First of all, I want to preface that I am not a Padres fan. I'm not even from San Diego, but I do live here, so I follow the team. And obviously, the city is great and fun when you guys win. But I came into the season scouting the Padres because I am an Atlanta Braves fan. And I'm telling you, I came into the season terrified of this team and the lineup, coming off of what you did last year, coming off of Tatis getting healthy, the people that you added. And I was so concerned that all of the pieces were there, but it just hasn't come together. And when I assess the team, you ask, is it over? I mean, it doesn't have to be, but there's so many different components that I look at when I scouted the team, when I look at the team as to why, and I'll just try to run through it real quick and you can tell me what you think. Number one is, your team and your makeup. Okay. It looks like the shell game out there. In other words, every night or most nights, you don't seem to have the units working together or playing at a high level from one night to the next. You got your pitchers pitching, but your closers aren't. You got your pitchers not pitching and you're scoring, but you're also giving it up at the end, or you can't finish out, or you're not closing out games. And it just seems like there's too many units that don't show up enough at the same time. And that's why you can't string together wins. And also you can't close out games.
Mo, we appreciate the call. We appreciate the call. Actually, we're going to hear from Ken Rosenthal, who says something similarly, by the way, about the Padres, which is something we actually talked about a little bit in the 3 o'clock hour. Listen, it's easy from the outside to see what's wrong with the Padres.
Yeah.
If you've been watching every single night, like, there's a lot that's wrong with the Padres.
There's a huge list.
Don't hit the clutch. Don't win close games.
Right.
The clubhouse dynamics. Right.
One-run games, like you said, extra innings, runners in scoring position.
Yeah, we can.
You name it, we'll tell you. We got it.
All right, let's go to Michael, who's been patient as well. 844-570-1360. Is it over for the Padres? Michael, you're on with John and Jim.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I don't know if it's over or not, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put it in a lot more simpler term than the last guy did from the Atlanta Braves fan. The Padres' biggest problem is just too much me and not enough we's. Bottom line, that's it.
Thanks for the call, Michael. Is Michael wrong? No, I don't think Michael's wrong. Is it a reason? Is it the main reason? I don't know, but I do think that it has to be put into the potential reasons why, right? It's in there for sure. You got a bunch of guys in this clubhouse that the dynamic seems like it didn't work. And that for whatever reason, and maybe it's better now, but it took way too long. And I don't know if it's repairable. I don't know if this is something that is just like, oh, well, just flip the calendar to next year, everything will be fine. I don't think that's the case. I don't know if that's going to be the right course of action if they happen to go down that path.
Although I don't even know what real options they have. I mean, when you talk about the core and the dynamic and the Sotos and the Machados and the Tatises and the Bogarts and the Darvishes and the Musker, it's like these players are going to be back in 2024. We'll see if the Padres can kind of right the ship. And by the way, Ken Rosenthal today on his podcast saying similar things about the state of the Padres. Is this on Bob Melvin or not? Here's Ken Rosenthal.
I wrote, I believe in May, after a series at Dodger Stadium, that the Padres were more a collection of individuals than a team. I still believe that. There is something missing here. It's not the manager. I know Padres fans, some of them are clamoring about Bob Melvin saying, that's why the one-run game record is bad. That's why the extra inning record is bad. No. Bob Melvin historically has done well in both of those regards. As Dennis Lynn of The Athletic has written, Bob Melvin is not the issue here. The issue here is something in the formula, in the mix, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it hasn't worked. And the Padres are going to need to take a hard look in the offseason at the way they've put this team together. They've got some free agent defections that they're looking at too. Blake Snell, Josh Hader. They've got a number of things that they're going to have to look at this offseason because this has been as big a disappointment as the Mets, as the Yankees, in some ways even bigger. San Diego Padres, not good.
San Diego Padres, not good. That's on the sales material for renewing your season tickets.
I do want to react to that on the other side and, just kind of give my plea for why it's not Bob Melvin's fault.
Okay, you're going to make your plea. I like that.
And to everybody out there that thinks Bob Melvin's the worst manager ever, I have something to remind you up next.
Okay, we'll do that on the other side. Plus, before we step aside here for a moment to wrap up the 3 o'clock hour, we both saw this weekend. We're wishing our very best to Bryce Miller, columnist at the UT. He's on the show often. He really wrote a spectacular piece about the humanistic side of sports. And now what he's going through is he's covered a lot of athletes that have gone through a lot in their lives. Bryce Miller currently, as he disclosed this weekend in the UT, fighting bladder cancer. So, Bryce, we are thinking about you, your family, your loved ones. We're praying for you. Bryce Miller of the UT, hopefully back on this show as he fights cancer and hopefully beats cancer as well.
Absolutely. All the best wishes and thoughts to Bryce. And, hopefully he's back soon. And we're talking to him soon about what he loves to cover his sports.
And he actually just wrote about Bob Melvin and why Bob Melvin shouldn't be accountable for what's going on right now with the Padres. All right. Jim makes his plea to keep Bob Melvin's job. Hour 2, John and Jim is next.
San Diego Padres, not good.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, well, they're now 6 games back of the final wild card spot after losing 3 of 4 to the Dbacks this past weekend. They take on the Marlins for a 3-game series starting tonight at Petco Park. 6:40 first pitch. Michael Walk on the mound for the Padres against old friend Ryan Weathers.
Wine Weathers.
Yeah, Wine Weathers. Wine Weathers pitched for the Marlins tonight. Moving over to the Aztecs, the basketball team released their conference schedule today for the upcoming season. January 2nd, at home versus Fresno will be their first conference game of the year, and it's Aztecs football week as their season kicks off this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium, 5 p.m. kick, 2 p.m. pregame right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now save even more with $50 off your print and marketing services order of $150 or more. Save your business at Staples.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 2 of John and Jim. Still ahead today. Craig Mish, he covers the Marlins. They're in town for a 3-game series. Ryan Weathers, not Ryan Weathers.
Ryan Weathers.
I think Ryan Weathers starts game 2, but tonight is Ryan Weathers. Skip Schumacher is here, the manager of the Fish. Craig Mish will get us ready for that series coming up at 5:30. San Diego State's defensive end, Garrett Fountain, named one of the 4 captains on this football team. Week 0 is Saturday right here on San Diego Sports 760. Aztecs against Ohio. 4 o'clock is the kickoff. 2 p.m. is our pregame coverage. Garrett Fountain will join the show coming up, I believe, at 5:15. All right, before we get to the wrap, Jim would like to make his passionate plea for Bob Melvin. Do you need any musical bed, or is there something is it prepared? Do you have something written?
No, this is just off the cuff. I think it's something that we have been pretty much saying for this year. While Bob Melvin is definitely far from perfect, nobody's perfect, and definitely a guy who has made mistakes, right? There's no question about it.
Okay.
I just want everybody to take a seat and look back at 2021. And I want you to remember 2021. I want you to remember that year. I want you to remember how it was when Jace Tingler, a first-time manager, was managing this team.
Okay.
And then I want you to go back even further, and by further, I mean just 2 years, to 2019 and 2018 and 2017 and 2016 and 2015 and be like, oh yeah, how is it to have Andy Green here as manager? How much did Padres fans complain about Andy Green, who was also a first-time manager, who also did things that a lot of Padres fans didn't like, and also a guy that really, no disrespect to Andy Green, has not really accomplished anything in the big leagues as far as being a manager goes. Same thing with Jace Tingler. Now, I want you to think to the future and what the future could look like if and when this team tells Bob Melvin, we don't want you to be our manager anymore. You know what that's going to look like in the future, John? It's going to look like the past, because you're going to have another first-time manager in here, another so-called, it's going to be viewed as a Preller puppet, okay? A guy with no experience dealing with, a bunch of egos and a bunch of talent in a room that if Bob Melvin couldn't deal with, Ryan Flaherty, I'm sure, is going to be perfect with that roster. And I want you to then think about how much you would want Bob Melvin. Because for me, while Bob Melvin has made mistakes this year, he is far from perfect. There's no question in my mind that anybody out there that says this is all Bob Melvin's fault and he should be fired is completely clueless of what happened to this franchise just, 2 years ago.
Okay, a couple of things. Because first of all, anyone that's in the right mind would never say it's all Bob Melvin's fault. They may say he's part of the problem.
I have seen a lot
but
of
that
people.
doesn't mean they're in the right mind.
I know.
It's social media stuff.
And I get it. And it's a lot of in the moment reactionary because you're upset. And the only person that you can put blame on that will get fired for this, because you can't fire players, is the manager, Bob Melvin.
Both can be true. He's their best manager since Bruce Bochy, and he's made some real mistakes in game over the last 2 years, like maybe all managers have, although they feel magnified to me. National League Championship Series last year, some of these one-run losses you have to put, and some of the bullpen usage issues, even this weekend, sticking with a starter with no big league experience into the fifth inning, getting burned on a 2-run home run. These are easy things to second guess. I mean, as easy as anything in the sport to second guess. The other thing I'll say, just to play devil's advocate, I wouldn't get rid of Bob Melvin. I would not. But I will also say this, the idea that he would have had any better of a win-loss record from 2016 to 2019 than Andy Green, to me, may not be accurate.
Well, yeah, because guess what? The problem is the roster construction.
Okay, so the idea that he would have had a better team in 2020 or 2021 than Jace Tingler.
I'm not saying that.
So, but we were saying, hey, do you really want Andy Green? Do you really want Jace Tingler? Or do you really want Bob Melvin? The truth be told, if Bob Melvin was managing in 2016, same results. If he was managing in 2021, same results. He wasn't saving that pitching staff in the second half of the year.
That's not my point, though.
What's the point? That is he that discernibly better than other options available to you? Is probably my point. I'm not saying get rid of him, but is it like, are you really going to be kicking yourself
with this roster, John?
Yeah,
with this roster, not the other rosters. Bob Melvin wouldn't be touching that team because he wouldn't be anywhere near him. He's not managing that team.
Yes, he is. He managed Oakland, and they had good years and they had bad years
because they had a stable front office and somebody in the front office in Billy Beane who knew what the hell he was doing. And oh, by the way, drafted really well, and they had a good developmental system. The problem was the owner sucks, and they never paid anybody, so they had to trade everybody away before their arbitration deals.
Okay, so what your point is, if they move on from Melvin,
and go with another first-time manager, it will be 2021 all over again, in my mind.
I don't know. I don't know. It's like sometimes we give the manager credit when things go well, like Melvin in 2021, and then sometimes we give him blame, like when things go poorly, or 2022, and then things go poorly in 2023. I don't know. I'm tending to put more of it on to your point, AJ Preller or roster composition than any of it. I just don't know. I feel like if Ryan Flaherty's the manager next year, it doesn't mean automatically things go sideways. And I feel like if Bob Melvin's the manager in 2024, it doesn't automatically mean they're good.
Okay, well, then that's like, hey, AJ Preller's got to go. That's what you're saying?
Maybe.
So for me, Bob Melvin is the right guy. He's been the right guy since he's got here. You look at his career in one-run games, it's really good. So all of a sudden, Bob Melvin forgot how to manage this season. You know, his track record speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to just say that it's Bob Melvin's fault this year, and they 100% might do that, even though they might not say it, though that's what they are thinking. We need a scapegoat here. It's Bob. It's just foolish to me to think that by changing Bob Melvin, things are going to change. It's just foolish to me to think that. And there are probably a lot of people out there that are like, Jim, you're an idiot. It's Bob's fault.
They might just say, Jim, you're an idiot.
That too. And I would tell you that if you want to go with another first-time manager,
what if it's not a first-time manager?
What if it is?
Well, what if anything?
I know, but I just think that this team right now has a lot more bigger issues than Bob Melvin. Like it's not the issue with this team. To me, the root and the core of the issue is not Bob Melvin.
I agree with that.
Then firing him would be, in my mind, foolish and looking in the wrong areas.
Well, here's the thing. People that are in positions of power don't fire themselves. Okay, so AJ Preller's not going to get rid of himself. So now that falls on the owner to make a decision on AJ Preller's future. Right.
Then that's a Peter Seidler conversation that is unfortunately coming very soon. If these things happen,
I gave you the curveball.
Hey, Peter, bro, I love what you've done with this team to bring this team to a relevancy point where they are playing with the big boys. You're playing with the big boys here, but as time goes on with you keeping AJ Preller around, it's becoming more apparent that you're not understanding or reading the room right here.
Well, a couple of things. Because, the last time we heard from Peter Seidler, it sounded like he wanted to make AJ Preller like king of San Diego County.
Right.
So under the assumption that that's how he feels about him, well, then there's stability in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people ultimately make changes in decisions. AJ Preller told us about Jace Tingler. He's a 10-year manager 6 weeks before he fired him.
Yeah.
So people change feelings on subjects, and maybe Peter Seidler thought this team was capable of getting to the postseason when he spoke in June.
Yeah.
And now here we are in August. It's not going to happen. So maybe something changes. I'm with you. I wouldn't move on from Bob Melvin, but I'm not in the same lane as you are with this passionate plea for Bob Melvin. I'm just not. I don't know why. I think he's a good, fine, solid manager.
Who's better out there that can replace him right away?
Yeah, but that kind of conversation is I don't know.
But it is a conversation because if you are going to replace Bob Melvin, you better well have somebody that you can go to the fan base and say that he is definitively better than what Bob Melvin was.
I mean, not necessarily.
So they're going to go downgrade on everybody?
No, but nobody. It's subjective. There's no such thing as better or worse. You don't hire a manager and say automatically based on the manager your team's better or worse.
In 2021, when they fired Jace Tingler, if they went out and hired another first-time manager, how do you think that would have gone over?
It wouldn't have gone over well, but guess how it went over when they hired Jace Tingler? Not well.
Not well. And
second
it ended
straight
2 years
first-time
later.
manager.
And when they hired Bob Melvin, he brought them to he didn't do it himself, but he was a big part of their run to the NLCS last year.
Yeah, maybe. Potentially. I guess we'll never really know. It's like how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Also, here's another thing, too. Yes, this team has completely underperformed this year. Disappointing. Whatever word you want to use for this team, go ahead.
Yeah.
How do you think this team would have fared if they had Jace Tingler still as the manager?
This year?
This particular team.
Do you think they'd be worse?
With a first-time manager.
Hold on.
How do you think they would have fared?
Not worse.
No?
No, I think this is as bad as it gets.
You don't think
I don't think this team is capable of playing worse than 10 games under 500 since they were 18-15 against the Dodgers. That's about as bad as you can play. Think they can play worse than this? Are there examples of games that they would have lost if not for Bob Melvin over the last 4 months?
Okay. Let me ask you this. With everything that Jace Tingler was in the conversation about with in 2021, as far as the revolt in the basically it's Tingler's Preller's Tingler, players versus front office, right? We don't see that with this team with Bob Melvin. We don't really see any of the players not giving Bob Melvin any backing or players saying that, whispers out of the clubhouse that like, dude, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Jim,
which what we heard from Jace Tingler.
You see among the worst clubhouse dynamics publicly anyone's ever seen.
Towards the manager or players on player crime?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Musgrove is saying we need to have urgency, and Juan Soto saying we're quitting. I mean, at some extent, that's on the people that they're playing for.
It's
whether
on
it's Seidler, Preller, Melvin.
It's on everybody. I just think that Bob Melvin, albeit has not done the greatest job this year, okay, and yes, he is on the ultimate cold stretch, right? He can't.
So why are we discounting?
He can't buy a bucket. He can't. So why
are we discounting that?
Well,
that's his job.
I know,
and he hasn't performed to his.
When a manager of Bob Melvin's ilk has
a bad year,
you have to fire him.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying he is accountable for some of this.
That's what I'm saying is a guy who is proven, who I think is the right manager. Okay, given the right pieces, who made the NLCS last year with what he had and what frankly that team had to deal with last year as well. So it wasn't just all really good last season. There was a lot of ups and downs with that year.
What do you have, 10% on his 2024 contract? How much? What do you get, a kickback?
This is my plea for Bob Melvin.
It's just unbelievable.
And with all of that being said, like, you think that Bob Melvin just having one bad season should be fired for that?
No, but this would be the same. Okay, if you want to go down that path, I mean, where's your passionate plea for Manny Machado's bad season? Where's your passionate plea for Xander Bogaerts? You want to talk about track records?
Well,
you want to talk about track records?
There's track records with Manny Machado here, definitely.
You want to talk about track record for Xander Bogaerts?
For what?
For consistency and winning and hitting 300. and being a performer. And he's had a bad year, and we've been critical of his year, as we should be.
Well, when we're talking about players, John, we're talking about massive, massive contracts that hurts this team from building a winner. Bob Melvin, we're not talking about a massive contract that hinders this team's ability to go out and sign the right free agents to build a cohesive roster.
858. I agree with 858. If Bob Melvin's a big part of the team's success last year, then he's equally a big part of the team's failure this year. And by the way, to 858's point, I think oftentimes when a team goes well, the manager gets too much credit, and when a team goes poorly, the manager gets too much blame. That's my point on the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a change drastically changes anything. I truthfully don't believe that if Jace Tingler and or Andy Green was managing this team right now, anything would be that much discernibly different. And by the way, if Tingler was managing this team and you heard Soto say quitter and you heard what Musgrove was saying all year, you'd say this is dysfunction from the manager. You'd kill the manager if that was the case.
I probably would, because it's a first-time guy with no track record.
Right. But what does that mean? We've had first-time jobs. I mean,
yeah, it's true.
Bob Melvin was a first-time manager in Seattle.
But we're also not in a situation where we're scrutinized every single day in the big leagues,
right,
and we're making millions and millions of dollars. We're not in that situation. But back to the whole Bob Melvin thing, just real quick before we move on.
Oh, do you have another point to make?
It's not another point to make about Bob Melvin, but the root of why we're just arguing about Bob Melvin,
right,
goes back to the initial oh my God, AJ Preller is potentially going to have another opportunity to hire another manager.
Sure.
That's where the frustration comes from, and for me, and that's where the plea of if you fire Bob Melvin, it goes back to, wait, you're giving Preller another opportunity when he had his last opportunity in 2021. So that's why I'm dude, okay, if you fire Bob, great, fine, whatever, we move on. I don't agree with it, but we move on. But then that means Preller gets another opportunity.
Let me say this last point, and then I want to get to the phones, and we'll get to the wrap at 4:30. I would not get rid of Bob Melvin, because I think, again, let's be careful on managers' value. I think he's a good manager. I don't think he's a bad manager. But just let's go back to last October, where Sean and I got a second inning in game 4
right now in Philadelphia, ironically,
giving up bombs. Okay, so Sean and I get a second inning in a must-win game in Philadelphia, game 4, which made absolutely no sense. And then in the 8th inning of the final game of the NLCS, he did not go to his closer in the 8th inning. With Josh Hader, was he up in the 8th inning? Was he up in the bullpen? Was he up?
I don't remember.
But I mean, these were huge moments, massive moments that were heavily critiqued and criticized. That's all. And I'm saying I wouldn't get rid of them because you take good with bad, but I'm just saying that I do think some of the criticism is warranted.
Right. And I don't think okay, let me just throw this at you, right? Who is another manager in baseball right now?
Okay.
Who actually was a first-time manager and got a lot of experience, who has consistently in the postseason, consistently made horrible moves that have backfired on that team for them to not win a World Series in a regular season?
You're talking about Dave Roberts?
Dave Roberts.
Well, okay. I'm listening.
If you're going to say the same thing about Bob Melvin, you got to say the same thing about Dave Roberts. And Dave Roberts is still the manager of the Dodgers. Am I correct?
Yeah, but he's never had a team that missed the postseason. Okay, that's a big part of it.
Well, if we're talking about just decision making, John,
he's the winningest manager in baseball history by percentage.
In the postseason, we're criticizing Bob.
Okay, I listen. And by the way, Dave Roberts, if you pay attention to social media, which you do, is heavily criticized by Dodger fans in the postseason. Heavily criticized.
But that, to me, I mean, Andrew Friedman is light years ahead of Preller, I feel like. So those two mesh well, and you have an analytic department that is miles ahead of the Padres as well that helps Dave Roberts immensely. And what is one thing that Bob Melvin said early on in his tenure with the Padres about the differences between Oakland and San Diego?
Resources
and analytics. And he wasn't used to the lack of analytics that was provided to him by the Padres compared to the A's. So I'm just saying, if you're going to say that, hey, Bob Melvin needs to go because he makes a couple bad decisions in the postseason that potentially cost the Padres, there's plenty of other managers in baseball in way higher up situations as far as the Dodgers go that has made a million bad decisions in the postseason, yet he's still the manager.
But do you know how much more winning Dave Roberts has done in the postseason than the Padres? I mean, yeah, they're losing in championship series and World Series consistently, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's won a lot of postseason games.
Yeah.
A ton at a way higher clip.
Okay.
Than Bob Melvin in his career, by the way. Way higher clip.
All managers make bad decisions, John. They all do.
And by the way, this whole first-time manager thing, I could blow that out of the water too. I mean, look at Rob Thompson last year with the Phillies. It's circumstance, it's front office, it's team, it's time.
Yeah, no, and that's not. I agree with you. Like the first-time manager thing doesn't scare me. The only reason why it scares me in this situation is because it's AJ Preller. That's why.
On the other side, I don't even know what we're talking. That was a very fascinating conversation on Bob Melvin. What side are you on, Team John or Team Jim? 844-570-1360. We didn't get to Dave. We'll try to get to Dave. Dave, stay where you are. We'll get you on the other side. 70470. Start it with Team. The Wrap is up next. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, your calls on the other side, 844-570-1360, plus the wrap. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres start a 3-game series with the Miami Marlins tonight at Petco Park. 6:40 first pitch. Michael Wacha on the mound for the Padres against Wyan Weathers for the Marlins. Aztec basketball today, they released their conference schedule for their upcoming season. January 2nd to Tuesday at home versus Fresno State will be their first conference game of the year. It's Aztecs football week as their season kicks off this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium, 5 p.m. kickoff, 2 p.m. pregame right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now save even more with $50 off your print and marketing services, order of $150 or more. Offer ends 8/26. Visit staples.com/print for details. Save your business at Staples.
844-570-1360. We'll get to the wrap in a moment. I don't even know what we spent 23 minutes talking about.
Like we both agree that Bob Melvin should not be fired.
It's just you have so much like passion.
I think the stances are, I'd be upset, really upset if they fired Bob Melvin. Not because I think Bob Melvin is the greatest manager in the world. I just think that giving AJ Preller another chance to hire a manager is just malpractice. And you, on the other hand, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, want Bob Melvin to stay, but if they happen to let him go and go in a different course, you wouldn't lose your mind like me.
Correct.
Okay.
Completely. 844-570-1360. Let's go to Dave. Dave, you're on with John and Jim, and thanks for calling in.
Oh, you guys are giving us all a headache today. But that's okay. That's your job. Okay, listen, let's bring you guys back to earth a little bit. A few weeks before the end of trading deadline, both of you opined it's a terrible thing to allow AJ Preller to actually go out and try to pick up more people or more players in trades, free agents, what have you. So you keep dancing around the issue, guys. The cancer is at AJ, period. And that's all of where all of this goes to. Whether you like the manager, dislike the manager, like the players, don't like the players, this is the guy that's in charge of baseball operations. This is the guy that brings them all in. And at the end of the day, I am in the media especially say, well, we can't fire AJ because he's under contract. Well, you want to know what? You gave away, Peter, $32 million to Drew Pomerantz. You gave away countless tens of millions to other players, including Eric Hosmer. So if you can give away so much money to these players, and oh, by the way, let's talk about the giveaway to the Big Four in about several years when they can no longer play baseball and you still owe them hundreds of millions of dollars. So if you can do that, you can certainly reassign AJ, send him down to the farm to scout or do whatever you got to do.
Dave, thank you. He's not being reassigned.
No.
Just like Bob Melvin's not going to be on Ryan Flaherty's coaching staff.
Popcorn vendor.
Dave, I literally just said the root of the problem is I believe AJ Preller.
Of course, who's more accountable for this? Who should be held more accountable for this? Bob Melvin or AJ Preller? That's not a question. That's why we're not asking it. Of course it would be AJ Preller. But like I said 10 minutes ago, AJ Preller's not going to fire himself.
And Peter Seidler, from all accounts, isn't going to change course here with the general manager of the team and the president of baseball operations. He just, I don't think he is. Now, the giant M. Night Shyamalan curveball that John is speaking of
is he gets rid of him.
If that happens, it'd be like a complete shocker to, I think, a lot of people. But if that doesn't happen,
you can't see the press release October 3rd. Hey, AJ Preller's been relieved of his duties as president of baseball operations and general manager.
I don't see that happening. I just don't.
But you could see the press release. Bob Melvin's been relieved of his duties as manager.
I see it in my mind very clearly.
You can see it in your mind.
I see it in my mind. Yeah.
All right, let's get to this, Brent.
Are you dying? Wait. What are you doing?
I turned off my mic to cough.
And then he uses his hand that he coughed in to turn my mic back on. So you just
different hand. Right, left. And by the way,
Hey, hold on. You're grossing out Sneezy over here.
Yeah, exactly. All you do is sneeze in front of me. I have allergies.
Okay.
Right now. You're Mr. Allergy.
Oh, how does it feel?
Not great.
Okay. Sorry, Brent.
All right, guys. Who will end up making the playoffs that wasn't a playoff team last year in the NFL?
Is this Nas?
Yes.
I like it.
All right. This is a very, very good question. I'm going to go with, I think it's the easiest one of them all, and I'm taking it before you take it.
Okay.
I'll take the Jets. Do I think that they're going to all of a sudden be the best team in the NFL? No. But I think there will be a team 9-10 wins tops, fighting for a wild card spot to get in. I'm going to say the Jets.
All right. Before the show, I said the Chargers, and Jim's like, the Chargers made the playoffs. I'm like, oh. So I'm not going to stick with the Chargers. You know who I'm going to go with? And I don't think they made the playoffs, but they could have.
Tell me who it is.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
They did not make the postseason.
The 9-8 Pittsburgh Steelers, who are always solid.
Yes.
Okay. And I feel like have a shot to build off 9-8, right? Quarterback back, whoever the hell it is.
You're making a really good plea here for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Get out of Pitt.
You're like, this guy's on the team.
Get out of Pitt.
Okay, Colin.
Kenny.
Oh, man.
Oh, dude.
I'd say the Chargers. Next question.
Chargers.
I think the Chargers.
Kenny
Pickett.
Stills.
Kenny
Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, yeah. Derek Watt's back. No, not Derek Watt.
What?
TJ Watt. Sorry. Derek Watt's the brother.
This is why people listen to us for NFL content.
Yeah, TJ Watt. Bum, 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 bum.
All right, guys. In the words of Jim, what will Wyan Weathers' final line be tonight against the Padres?
Padres. Juan Weathers. I'm not going to be that person that says that he's going to go like 7 innings and shut out the Padres. Like, I think it will be 4 2/3, 3 runs, like 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, like very mid-average from Ryan Weathers.
7 innings, no hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Reverse jinx. Next question.
Jeez.
Which 3 teams in the National League will be the wild card teams?
Okay, so there is right now currently, you got the Phillies, the Giants, the Marlins, the Cubs, the Reds,
and the Diamondbacks.
And the Diamondbacks.
And the Padres. Right?
for at least a day or two.
Yeah.
They're still in the hunt graphic.
Oh
right?
yeah, they are. They're still in the
Okay.
graphic.
I'm gonna say the 3 teams that make it will be the Phillies.
Yeah, they'll make it.
I think the Giants, and I'm gonna say the Cubs. What about you?
Oh man, I tend to agree with you. Now they're all in the position right now, but only by like a game or a game and a half.
Yeah, it's a literal definition
It
of
could
wild
change
card.
every day. Yeah. I mean, I don't love the way the Reds have played in the second half. Arizona's schedule is like the hardest schedule like in any sports history. They play the greatest teams in baseball history for some reason. Miami, I mean, are we betting on Miami? It's been a very nice story, but it's hard to bet on Miami to beat out those teams. Cubs have been flat out good over the last like 35 games. I mean, they've been good. So Giants have been up and down. Phillies are going to make it. I'll say Phillies, Giants, Cubs. Yeah.
Cubs have a pretty easy schedule
Yes,
down the
they
stretch.
do.
They got a lot of games against the Pirates. They're
Detroit right now, right?
Yeah, they're up 4-0 in the fourth now
Yeah.
against the Tigers. So, you know, a lot of Cincinnati, who you said they're not playing well anymore either. So I think the Cubs could sneak in there.
Which would be an amazing year. All right, next question.
Will we see Ethan Salas in the bigs before he is 20?
So we'll see him in like 10 minutes.
We'll see him tomorrow night. John has a very do you think I had a strong take on Bob Melvin being the manager here?
Yeah.
You have a extremely strong take on the Ethan Salas being promoted to Double-A. I will say first, I do think there is a strong possibility that this kid makes his major league debut before he turns 20. I think it's a very strong possibility.
Absolutely.
If he's already in Double-A now at 17 years old, 2 more years, I mean, shoot, he might make the team next year just because they're going to need a catcher if they don't re-sign Gary Sanchez. I don't think that's going to happen, but never say never with this franchise. So I will say yes, we will see him in the big leagues before he turns 20.
I don't even know what the question is. What's the question? Will we see him in the big leagues before he turns 20?
Yeah, he's 17 right now.
So last night we're doing a wrap-up show, and Jim's like, yeah, like Salas, you know, we're talking about Salas getting promoted to Double-A. I'm like, what are you talking about?
He had no clue.
So you didn't see that? I'm like, why on earth would you promote Ethan Salas to Double-A as a 17-year-old when he spent 9 games in Single-A Fort Wayne? What point are we trying to prove? By getting Salas to Double-A to finish 2023, does that put him in a better position in 2024? Why wouldn't you just finish off the year in A-ball? And if he's able to start next year in Double-A, great. What's the rush? Develop this player. Fernando Tatis Jr. had 1,200 plate appearances in the minor leagues before getting to the big leagues. Ethan Salas is 17 with under 300 plate appearances. Take time here. You think you get this guy to the big leagues, and what do you get? He's not going to be a difference maker at 18. He's not going to be a difference maker at 19. Develop the player fully. That's the job of the organization. He could be a brilliant player. He doesn't have to be a brilliant player at 18. He's got enough on his shoulders. Taking him from low A to advanced A to Double-A over the course of 2 weeks for what? To prove what point? That we can develop players and we can do it in a quick manner? Jim?
Sorry, I'm just letting you cook over there.
I don't understand it. I mean, I was literally jaw dropped. And by the way, he might hit in Double-A. I don't care. My point is, like, fully develop the player. He needs 1,000 plate appearances or more in the minor league, so let him get them.
Yeah. You develop the play. If you really want him a part of the Double-A playoffs, to be a part of a winner, to move up the system with all these guys in it, I can understand that part of it. But you also can't tell me that by doing this, they're not thinking of, hey, this guy, we can maybe promote him to the big league level to be an impact player here pretty soon. And by pretty soon, I mean maybe end of next year, or maybe the start of 2022, like 2026, no, 25. Yeah, start of 2025. Like, guys, like you said, give the kid time.
What's the rush?
There's no rush here. You are not looking at him, I feel like, as this savior player. It's not he might be as talented and like a Fernando Tatis Jr. type of talent, you know, but I just don't see the point of doing it so quickly. For what reason? Now, I do think there's a little bit, and we'll talk about this a little bit more here on the other side, is like, I do think there's a little bit, whether they deny it or not, and I don't think it's the whole thing, but I think there's a little to it of, hey, the house is focus your attention on how cool and great it is that a kid at 17 years old is moving so fast through our organization.
Does anyone think it's that cool and great? You know what I mean? Like, no, like you can promote him from A ball to the big leagues if you wanted. So it's not like he has to be in double A. I don't understand it. I really don't.
Like
I do not understand.
You have to get Ethan Salas right. You have to get some of your prospects right. And by rushing them all the time, that puts a lot of pressure on these young kids to perform right away. And it's not working out at all with this organization.
I don't get it. On the other side, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. San Diego State's defensive end and captain Garrett Fountain before week 0 against Ohio. He will join us at 5:15. Craig Mish, he covers the Marlins. He will join us at 5:30. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, Craig Mish covers the Marlins. He'll join us at 5:30. Garrett Fountain of the Aztecs at 5:15. Up next, the best and worst of the sports weekend. Is that good? All right, before we get to Is That Good, real quick. And by the way, coming up at 5:15, Garrett Fountain, San Diego State captain, defensive end, will join the show. At 5:30, we have Craig Mish, who covers the Marlins. This from Pete Thamel at ESPN. Ohio's quarterback off an ACL injury, Curtis Rourke, will start Saturday at San Diego State. This is the younger brother of Jaguars quarterback Nathan Rourke, who had a huge season a year ago. Pete Thamel writes, San Diego State, Ohio is one of the high-profile Week 0 matchups. There's not a lot of games, but again, this is a big-time test for San Diego State. Huge test for San Diego State Saturday against Ohio.
Bring it on, man.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. I feel good about this offense going into the start of this season. I don't feel overly great because I have to see it first, but I feel as good as you could feel without seeing something in action at all. Now, talk to me after the game, obviously, right. But going into it, I'm not like as worried as I was last year before the start of the season about like how are they going to score points.
Right. And this defense typically holds up very well, San Diego State's. But again, facing a team with a returning quarterback, a lot of returning skill, a team that averaged over 31 points per game last year, Ohio. That's Week 0, Saturday at 4. Our pregame coverage will begin at 2 outside Snapdragon Stadium. All right, let's get to this.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yes, I would love it.
All right. Brent's favorite player of all time, Lionel Messi, scored another goal this weekend for Inter Miami. They won the Leagues Cup trophy. He has now 10 goals on the year.
In what, 6 matches? 7?
6 or 7?
Yeah.
I mean, he's
good.
He's making it look far too easy. Well, he is the best player in the world, so he should. Brent, is that good?
Isn't this what he's supposed to do, though?
Exactly.
Because
he should. Yeah.
You know, according to, I'm doing air quotes and I hate myself for it, but soccer people, the MLS is like the bottom, you know, competition wise compared to other leagues in like Europe. So shouldn't he come in and just school everybody because the competition isn't as good?
It's still some of his goals are.
That's like Dwight Howard going to Taiwan and averaging like 40 and 30.
Some of these goals are like ridiculous.
They
and
are.
I'm not a soccer guy either, but where he's placing the balls and some of these goals are ridiculous.
Aren't easy goals, I don't think.
It doesn't appear to be, but maybe he makes it look easy.
He does.
All right, I'll start with this. Padres taking on a Dbacks team over the last 10 days. Arizona was among the worst teams in baseball over a 30-day stretch. Something like 5-22 in their previous 27 coming into that Padres series in Phoenix. The Padres went 2-5 against the Dbacks in those 7 games. Is that good?
No, it's not good. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, wasn't great.
Not great.
And by losing those 2 games on Saturday and things that happened yesterday, which they lost a half a game there, they are now 6 games back. They lost a total of 2 games over the weekend in the wild card standings. They're now a total of 6 back in the wild card race. Yeah, Brent, is that good?
No, it's not good. Are you kidding me?
Not great. Not great. Not good at all.
Now, what's interesting here, I hate to give people false hope, but I will anyway. Is that San Francisco's losing to Philadelphia tonight, and while the Cubs are going to win, which means the Cubs will remain at least 6 games better than the Padres, even if the Padres win. If the Giants lose, the Padres actually pick up a half game of the standings if they beat the Marlins tonight, if that makes sense. They'd be 5.5 out of a playoff spot. I think I have that right. I do. If the Giants lose and if the Padres win, the Padres would pick up 1 half game. All right, back to Is That Good? Let me give you this.
Okay. What do you got?
Ethan Salas, who was promoted to AA yesterday.
You loved it.
In 9 games with Single A Fort Wayne after a promotion from Single A Lake Elsinore, hit 200 before the promotion. That's small sample size, but is that good, Brett?
Promote him now.
It's good. Hitting 200 is good. It was fine. It's an amazing ascent for a 17-year-old.
And by no means am I like saying that not congratulations to him, because this is a big accomplishment for him. I'm just worried that the organization is maybe doing this too quickly and maybe not treating this like with a little more kid gloves. I don't know. We'll find out. Finally, a former Padre has come to town tonight. Not Wine Weathers, but Josh Bell, who the Padres traded for last year. And we all remember what happened with Josh Bell. He went like 0 for his first 30, or he had a stretch in there. We went over 30, and it's like, why do players that get traded here just can't perform? Like, why can't they perform here? I don't know why, but he's performing for the Marlins in 16 games this year, 17 games this year with the Marlins since the trade deadline. He has 6 home runs and he has an OPS of 962. Is that good?
It is good!
All right, and then finally, the most important thing, and it's not even of the weekend because it's going to happen tonight. The Baltimore Ravens, who are in the midst of a 24-game preseason winning streak. It is the longest winning streak in the history of football in the preseason. They're trying to extend it out to 25 games tonight against the Commanders, but some of the Commanders have strong words saying it's not going to happen on our watch.
How are you going to watch every single second of this game?
I think it's already on, would be my guess.
Why aren't you streaming it?
I don't know. So is that good, Brent, that they're going for 25 straight preseason wins? Crickets.
Thank you.
I wanted to lead the show with this today, but we had the sports wrap with Derek Togerson on NBC7.
Thank goodness we did.
On the other side, coming up next, should the Padres trade Juan Soto in the offseason if they don't make the playoffs? Okay, should the Padres trade Juan Soto in the offseason if they don't make the playoffs? Plus, Garrett Fountain, San Diego State captain, defensive end, getting ready for Ohio this weekend. He'll join us at 5:15. Craig Mish covers the Marlins. He'll get us ready for the series. He'll join us at 5:30. It's Hour 3, John and Jim, and it's next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Marlins start a 3-game series tonight at Petco Park. 6:40 first pitch. Michael Wacha starts tonight for the Padres against Ryan Weathers for the Marlins. Moving over to Aztecs, the basketball team announced their conference schedule games this year. Conference play gets underway on July 2nd at home versus Fresno State. That is on a Tuesday night. It's Aztecs football week as their season kicks off this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium, 5 p.m. kick, 2 p.m. pregame right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now, save even more with $50 off your print and marketing services. Order of $150 or more. Offer ends 8/26. Visit staples.com/print for details. Save your business at Staples.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 3, John and Jim. Coming up this hour in 10 minutes, San Diego State's defensive end and captain, one of 4 captains on this Aztec football team, Garrett Fountain, will join us. Big game Saturday, week 0 against Ohio at Snapdragon Stadium, a game you can hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. So Garrett Fountain off the practice field in 10 minutes. Craig Mish, who covers the Marlins, works at a lot of spots. Craig Mish, who's been with us before, he will join us coming up at 5:30. All right. The question we mentioned heading into this 5 o'clock hour, Jim, is should the Padres trade Juan Soto if they don't make the postseason? Now, who do we have on this? Brian Kenny and Mark DeRosa commented on this?
Correct. They had a segment today on MLB Network that I listened to, and it was interesting, and it's definitely going to be a talking point at the end of this year, I feel like, and going into next year as well if they do not get a contract extension with Juan Soto. It was just brought up today, and hey, talking about Juan Soto trading at him at the end of the season if they don't make the postseason. I thought it was an interesting discussion by Brian Kenny and Mark DeRosa.
You heard what I said about the Padres, that they didn't just double down, they octupled down. Everybody signed through 2027, then there's a bunch through 2030, 2033, 34. If they miss the playoffs, the Padres move the playoffs, I think Soto is the move. This isn't working. Whatever it is, something hasn't happened correctly. You have one more year of Soto. I don't double down on Soto. I move him for fresh blood.
I'm going to wait until next trade deadline and see where I'm at.
You're going to lose a lot of value.
I've already lost it.
No,
you're not getting back what you gave up. And A.J. Preller does not value prospects. He never has. Trey Turner walked out the door. Max Fried walked out the door, amongst others.
Now C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore. But I'm saying, if you don't do it in the winter meetings, you say, let me wait till July, you get even less. You're not changing your club.
But
this club's not doing it.
But I still think I'm a World Series potential
so roll
champion.
Roll it out
there one more time. Even if Snell walks out the door and Hader walks out the door, I still have frontline guys at the top of my rotation with Musgrove. I got you, Darvish. I can go out and sign somebody. I can't quit on it now.
By the way, I hear
it's not who A.J. Preller is.
I hear you.
I hate the way he's 12-year deals to Bogarts and Cronenworth and all these guys.
Here's the problem, though. This club has shown you between last year's regular season and this year's regular season, they won 89, and now they're winning, 80 at best? That's enough of a sample to me that this isn't working. I hear you. You can roll it back and say, roll the dice again, you get a different result. I don't think that's likely, is what I'm saying.
I'm in the camp of this team, although lost 4-1 to Philadelphia. We were talking about how electric Petco Park was. They were in
they beat the Mets and the Dodgers.
They were in the NLCS last year. I mean, it was such a great story. You want to fall in love with it.
Roll it back. All right, I wouldn't.
Ha-Seong Kim's has been their best hitter all year. That's not the norm.
Yeah, but also he's a great player. You're getting good contributions and it's still not happening. So something's wrong.
Real quick, can I just say this? Brian Kenny is super annoying. I mean, is that fair? Just hearing his arguments bother. I don't know what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's knowledgeable, but I don't know. And it goes beyond. What did he say? He the Musgrove thing.
Yeah.
But just hearing him, I don't know.
It is.
His
it
argument.
Is. You think
argumentative style is annoying?
I know. It's like just stop.
I know. We get it. You know about baseball.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Gosh, so annoying.
Do you think Mark DeRosa is campaigning for them to not trade Juan Soto because he wants to manage Juan Soto next year?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's doing. I mean, would I move Juan Soto in the offseason as opposed to in season in 2024? I would definitely. And I'm not moving Juan Soto in the offseason.
No.
I'm getting into the season, and I understand the back and forth. Oh, you get more in the offseason than in season. Yeah, okay. But also, you get more potential out of your team if you play Juan Soto on your team and see what happens for 4 months.
The checklist for just pertaining to Juan Soto in the offseason and for the remaining year plus that he will be here is, number one, try to sign Juan Soto. Try you got to try.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just say, yeah, we know, whatever. Like, you have to at least try to sign Juan Soto and make a huge push this offseason to do it. Because for everybody that wants to bash Juan Soto, I still think he is one of the premier players and talents in the game. And I would rather have Juan Soto on my team than not. I think he is going to put up some special seasons in his future. Hopefully it's here in San Diego, but I still think Juan Soto, I just think he's like one of the best in the game. So I would first try to sign him. Then, if that doesn't happen, you keep him. You keep Juan Soto, and like AJ Preller said, we got Juan Soto not for one postseason run. We got him for 3. Well, you might only get him for 2.
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2
yeah.
at the most.
Well, maybe 1 if they move him.
Maybe 1.
Yeah.
But if they can't re-sign him in this offseason, then I am keeping Juan Soto, and I am loading up and trying to go at it again next year with him on the roster. And then if at the trade deadline, this thing looks like this year, next year, right?
Well, then you probably have to move him.
Then you look at moving him, and you have to do that.
And I'm with Mark DeRosa, where he's like, well, you're not going to get back the same value either way. I mean, you gave up max value for a player who was 23 with 2.5 years of control.
Yeah.
You're not touching that. But even if you get rid of him this offseason, he's coming off a nice year, but not an MVP year, right? So you're going to get some value, but you're not going to get all that value. And by the way, if you move him next year at the deadline and he's having a nice year, you're going to get good value for him. If you move him next year and it's Juan Soto, age 25, with a 1,000 OPS season, then you're going to get a huge return. Not the same return, but you're going to get a huge return. I've never thought that the issues that the Padres are experiencing go back to Juan Soto. I think there are people that disagree with that. That's fair and understood. But at the end of the season, he's going to have among the better offensive seasons on this team. He's going to be held accountable. For whatever reason, people are going to say it's on Juan Soto and Bob Melvin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's on Bob Melvin. It's on Juan Soto. Man, what a complete failure it would be if they missed the postseason this year and then move him before the postseason of 2024. Who's not going to make it?
Beyond disaster.
But again, is that on Juan Soto? Not really. I mean, Juan Soto was never going to carry the team to the postseason. Like, go look up Shohei Ohtani in the dictionary.
Yeah.
He's not bringing the Angels to the postseason.
Yeah, and I do think there is something to, like, Juan Soto is an alpha dog. Like, he is, I don't care what, like, he was the guy in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he became the leader of that team, even though they didn't win much after the World Series in 2019. He was the most talented player on that team. Like, everybody knew that's the future. You know, and they didn't get to sign him, so that didn't pan out. But at the time, when he was doing the things he was doing in the postseason in 2019 and putting up all these crazy stats and numbers, everybody knew that's the guy. And I do think there is something too, coming to San Diego and coming into a clubhouse with an established guy already here. That was his team. And for whatever reason, it just hasn't fully worked to what everybody was expecting here with Juan Soto. Everybody thought that when he came in here, he would light the world on fire. And it hasn't happened, but that doesn't mean that I would trade Juan Soto in the offseason. I would absolutely keep him and go for it again in 2024.
Put the question in the chat, and 70470 started with team. Would you move Juan Soto this offseason? Let's switch gears. We're getting ready for Saturday right here on San Diego Sports 760. The Aztecs opener against Ohio at 4 p.m. Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets are available at goaztecs.com. It is a huge week 0 game. San Diego State and Ohio pregame coverage will begin at 2 p.m. We've been telling you all afternoon. Garrett Fountain, recently named San Diego State captain, 1 of 4 for the upcoming season, was going to join us. So, Garrett, it's our pleasure. Thanks for doing it, and I hope you're doing well today.
How's it going, guys? Yes, doing very well. Thank you for having me on San Diego Sports 760.
Well, we appreciate you joining us off the practice field.
Plug. There we go.
We do like that. So, what does this mean to you? It happened this weekend. You're named 1 of 4 captains. What does that mean to you to be named a captain for this upcoming season?
I would say it's a blessing. You know, I've been here. This is going on 5 years, and you know, just being around these guys every day, it's a blessing because everybody comes out here to work, and we all push each other. And now that I'm an older guy, I'm pushing everybody in each position group, not just myself and my own position group. So it means the world to me that these guys think of me that highly, you know. But I'm going to do my best to represent this team and myself, each guy on our team.
Is replacing a lot of pieces on the defensive line from last year. How do you feel so far about this unit up front?
You know, yes, we are replacing a bunch of guys, and guys that played a lot of good football for us. But, you know, with the work that we put in on this offseason and the transfers and the guys coming in, I'm feeling really confident with the guys, just with the amount of work they put in. You know, they're out here every day getting better, watching film. We're all getting together, and so you know, I'm excited for Saturday. I'm surprised people.
San Diego State defensive end Garrett Fountain with us right now. John and Jim, the all-new San Diego Sports 760. So on cue, Saturday is against Ohio. They recently announced, actually it was this afternoon officially, that their starting quarterback from a year ago, Curtis Rourke, who tore his ACL, is available and will start week 1, or week 0 actually, against the Aztecs. You've watched him on film. What type of challenge is he going to be?
I mean, he's a great athlete. He's a big quarterback, big body back there who's got a really strong arm. He's real athletic. I mean, number 10 is a little bit, I'd say, quicker, but number 7, Rourke, he's an all-around great athlete. He's proven time and time again that he's a guy and their go-to, and he's MVP of the league last year, obviously. So, you know, he's gonna bring a talent for us, but we just gotta go after it.
Garrett, going up against Jalen Maiden every day in this new look offense, first off, how are they looking, and how is it helping you as a defense every single day?
I think, you know, with Jalen and Coach Lindley and the offensive line, I think these guys are doing a heck of a job this year on the competition. We're going out there every day. It's just, I mean, competing. I mean, the offense, they're jealous, they're clicking, they're fluid this year, and they're looking really good. And Jalen's giving us really great looks on the back end, and also up front. Our linemen are also giving us really good looks for the DNs that we're playing. So it's been a really good fall camp. I'm really excited to keep going.
Garrett Fountain back for his 5th year on the Mesa, joining us right now, John and Jim on 760. So you made a transition, right, from linebacker to defensive end prior to last season. What type of transition was that, and what's your comfort level like? I mean, you played in every game, I think, last year. So what's your comfort level like heading into your 2nd year on the defensive line?
You know, the transition was the hardest part was getting the weight. You know, I mean, our coaches, they felt comfortable with me being able to go from linebacker to D-line, and they needed some depth there, and so I did it without any questions asked. And I feel really comfortable with my hand in the dirt. So that it hasn't been too tough. And I feel like my fundamentals and technique has gotten quite a bit better with Coach Hope and Coach Lote as well. And of course, last year, you know, going into this year, he was really working on the fundamentals and techniques and hands and stuff. So I'm feeling good. I'm excited.
Garrett, a coach defense by Kurt Maddox is always a defense that, ranks the top of college football, every year it seems like. And this is the bread and butter of the Aztec program is defense. And for you, how has it been to, play under a coach like Coach Maddox while you've been here at San Diego State?
Well, I think it's honestly, for me, it's been the greatest thing in the world just because, that's reasons I stayed here. I don't want to go anywhere else. Especially with the attitude Coach Maddox brings every day, and just the culture that we have as a unit here at this school. It's been a blessing. I love playing for him. I love playing for this school, and so that's been a great experience for me. Last for 3 years under him because he came in 2020, so it's been a blessing.
So you touched on it briefly, and you've kind of talked a little bit about 2023, but specific to this game against Ohio, do you guys feel as if it's just critical to get this thing started on the right foot?
Absolutely. That's the goal for every team. Everybody wants to go out there and just win. So we're looking for is to go out there and play to our guns and be physical and be tough and go off for quarters, come out with a W. That's the plan for, I think, everybody going into the game this weekend.
And we've talked to Coach Hoke a lot here recently, and one thing that he has mentioned is that, going into last year versus Arizona, he felt like he didn't have you guys prepared for the start of the season. Now, there was other having it be like 150 degrees on the field, I'm sure didn't help at all either. But from a preparation standpoint, how much has Coach Hoke emphasized and made sure that you guys are this time fully prepared for week 1 this season?
I think he's done a fantastic job, and it starts with him, but it also, it starts with him as well as it starts with us. We didn't come in prepared, ready to go. We're a little lackadaisical off the kit because of the year prior and the outcome that happened over there in Arizona. But this year, we just really got the cool stuff, and we did a lot of work in fall camp. So I think as a team collectively got back to the basics and really got after each other at a competitive level, and we're ready to go.
It is a huge game. It is Saturday. It's week 0 for San Diego State at Snapdragon Stadium against Ohio at 4 p.m. Should be a beautiful afternoon for football, and tickets are available right now at goaztecs.com. Garrett, congratulations on getting ready for the season, on being named a captain, and we'll see you this weekend down at Snapdragon. So thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right, Garrett Fountain, again, Aztecs captain and defensive end, with us here on John and Jim.
Yeah, the opener for this team is so crucial, I feel like, for the direction of this season, because you start the season 1-0, I feel like then can get some momentum going in, because the first 6 games of your year, your non-conference, and then getting into your conference before your second bye, I guess, it's so important to go no worse than 3-3, I feel like, up until that second bye. If you could get to 4-2, I just feel like that has to be the number one, goal for this team, is to start fast, because you do have a tough schedule and it's not easy to start.
Yeah, I think someone said it's a great point, because after Ohio, which, by the way, the line has moved towards Ohio because they announced today their quarterback is back. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation last year. Really was.
It's fine.
So I haven't seen it today, but San Diego State was favored by 3 or 3.5 points, and right now it's probably more like a point or two. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want to look it up, to be honest, but I can't. But I want to. Let me see here. Hold on. I'm very curious.
Try to do it.
I'm going to do it. Okay. So San Diego State entering. Okay, they're favored by 2.5. So let's move to half point, maybe a point.
Okay.
San Diego State's still favored by 2.5 points. But someone made this point. I think if the Aztecs don't beat Ohio, clearly they'll be favored week 2, FCS opponent, Idaho State. But then what is it after that? It's UCLA at home, you'd be a dog. Oregon State on the road, dog. Boise State at home. If you lose to Ohio, you'll be a dog.
Dog.
And then at Air Force, dog. You could be a dog in 4 consecutive games, maybe win or lose against Ohio, which makes Ohio just crucial for San Diego State. It really, really is.
Yep.
So listen, Saturday, we hope to see you out there. We'd love to see. It should be, like I said, a beautiful day. I think something like the high in Mission Valley on Saturday is something like 78 on Saturday. Kickoff is 4 p.m. We hope to see you there. Tickets are available at goaztecs.com. Craig Mish, MLB Network contributor, has covered the Marlins for a long time. He's going to get us ready for tonight. Ryan Weathers starting. Skip Schumacher back in San Diego. The Marlins trying to get to the postseason. They've had a very nice year under Skip Schumacher. He'll get us ready for this series, plus Jim's back. Page is still ahead, but Craig Mish covers the Marlins. He'll get us ready for tonight. Next on John and Jim. Craig Mish, MLB Network contributor, will join us from Miami to get us ready for the Marlins and the Padres here at Petco. Will join us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Marlins started a 3-game series tonight at Petco Park. 6:40 first pitch. Old friend Ryan Weathers on the mound for the Padres against Michael Wacha for the Padres. And moving over to Aztecs, their basketball team, they announced their conference schedule today. Their conference schedule opens up on January 2nd at home versus Fresno State. And it's Aztecs football week as their season kicks off this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium, 5 p.m. kick, 2 p.m. pregame right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Staples has everything you need for the office and the classroom for less. Now save even more with $50 off your print and marketing services. Order of $150 or more. Offer ends 8/26. Visit staples.com/print for details. Save for your business at Staples.
All right, Jim's back page coming up in 15 minutes. By the way, join us tomorrow. Great giveaways. I'll leave it at that.
Oh,
okay.
Some amazing giveaways.
Very good giveaways.
So stay tuned for that.
Yes. Join us tomorrow beginning at 3 p.m. Join us tomorrow beginning at 6 a.m. I think they'll have some of those giveaways for you.
Oh, yes.
You're getting tomorrow
Big Rich
TD and
Fletch.
Fletch.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you missed our conversation with Brady Hoke, by the way, this morning, you can find that at sportssd.com. We hope to connect with Craig Mish, Miami Herald, MLB Network contributor momentarily on tonight's series that gets underway at Petco, game 1 of a 3-game set. We haven't even talked about this, but kind of a must-win series.
Yeah.
We kind of said, hey, listen, is the season over? And it very well could be. What I can assure you is they have to win this series to have any hope of us continuing the conversation about 2023.
They have to win a lot of series, John, in a row consecutively.
Probably, yeah.
For us to even, consider them a postseason potential team?
Probably, yeah. I agree.
It's going to be interesting, though. It will be interesting to see how this team responds now in a position of, almost no return, almost no hope. Are they going to just lay down, or are they going to fight a little bit here? It's going to be interesting to watch these final 37 games.
Well, I mean, to kind of your point earlier on the difference between Melvin and Tingler, I think it would be a kind of a nod to Melvin if this team can play effectively, whatever that even means. Even if, and we're all going to say, oh, it was a bad year. If they go, 81-81, we're going to be like, bad year. But if they do that, they're actually going to play decently down the stretch.
6 games over 500.
7. They're 7 under.
Oh, sorry, 7. See,
so
I don't even.
I mean, they'd have to play really well to get to 500 or above it.
7 games under.
I know. They've never been worse than 8 this year.
Yeah, man. It's a lot, dude. It's a lot to do in such a short period of time. And that's on them. That's 100% on these players, dude. 100%. The players did it to themselves, and now everyone's scrambling, and it's probably too late.
Craig Mish, MLB Network contributor, Miami Herald. I don't think there's anyone that covers the Marlins better than Craig Mish. He's back with us here, John and Jim, the all-new San Diego Sports 760. And Craig, we appreciate your time as we get ready for this series. We want to start with Ryan Weathers. Is this a coincidence? Is this a need? It always seems to the Padres that ex-Padres kill the Padres. Maybe people say that about all 30 teams against their club. But what's the circumstance that has Ryan Weathers, who I know has only made 1 start and struggled? What's the circumstance that has him starting tonight?
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
the situation is pretty simple. Johnny Cueto was supposed to make the start, but over the last, day or two, he had some flu-like symptoms. They weren't sure if he was going to be able to pitch today. I think maybe Miami also thought maybe the game would get moved to tomorrow just based on the weather. And so in order to be fully prepared for it, they brought Weathers in yesterday. The situation basically calls for a spot starter. If Weathers pitches well against his old team today, I think maybe he could earn another start for the weekend, because they did have to place Cueto on the IL, and he won't be back until the beginning of September. So a little trial by fire. Didn't go great for him first time out. I know it didn't go great for him in San Diego either. So we will just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting start for Ryan Weathers if he pitches well. I don't think any Padres fan would be surprised knowing how former Padres do against this team. And one former Padre, albeit for only a couple months, Josh Bell, who the Marlins acquired at the trade deadline. Unlike for the Padres, for the Marlins, he has been absolutely amazing. Just speak to the Josh Bell acquisition for the Marlins and what he has meant to them, even though they've been in kind of a slide.
Yeah, the numbers are certainly astounding. It reminds me of when Bell was with Washington, or even if you want to go further back, his early years in Pittsburgh. He had some incredible first halves. I mean, I guess most players do categorize as streaky. If not, you're a Hall of Famer. Every other guy is streaky. They go through peaks and valleys. But, yeah, he's been fantastic. Miami, there's no way Miami saw this coming, that he was going to be this good. I mean, it did feel like Cleveland, to a degree, looked at that contract and said, boy, can we get out from under this? They made a trade with Tampa to acquire a high prospect first baseman that they want to play next year at first. And so that made Bell expendable. Miami sent Gene Segura back. They basically, they sent a good prospect, don't get me wrong, in Khalil Watson, former first-round pick. We'll see what he ends up being. He's been a disappointment. But essentially, they sent a player in Segura. Cleveland got him, guys. They cut him immediately. He never played a game, and he's not playing with anybody right now. So that just tells you what Cleveland thought of Bell. Bell did not have a good first half. They shipped him to Miami, and he's been everything they asked for. And he's under contract for next season with an option, basically meaning that he can choose to get 16.5 with Miami next year or opt out. He's a Boris client. If he keeps this up, I guess he opts out. He probably would be a hot commodity this winter, but we'll have to see. Still a ways to go, and clearly the sample at this point is just 2 weeks.
Craig Mish covers the Marlins. He's with us right now. John and Jim, the all-new San Diego Sports 760. Padres-Marlins Game 1 coming up tonight at 6:40. Craig, has Sandy Alcantara turned his season around? I'm just looking at his game log, his last 5 starts. He's got a 2.1 ERA, opponent batting average 196. What's got into Alcantara recently?
Yeah, better location. He looks a lot like he did the year before. It seems like, although he still has been giving up some home runs, it does feel like he's back to at least close to what he was last season. There was no injury there. I just simply thought that everything caught up to him playing in the World Baseball Classic, going to the Dominican for the Cy Young. He really didn't have an off season, and I just thought that just mentally he was a little worn down. He was also angry after some games. It's not really his demeanor, but I think you're going to see him be one of the best pitchers in baseball again this year.
Yeah, his stuff is just electric if he is on his game. Craig, we talked to you around the trade deadline because the Padres acquired Garrett Cooper. And ever since then for the Padres, it's been a disaster. Just looking at the Padres season in a whole, I don't know if we asked you about this last time, but your just thoughts on the Padres this year from going, before the season started as a team that everyone picked to be like in the World Series this year to now probably missing the postseason.
Was your question on Cooper or the Padres?
No, sorry, I was on the Padres. Like your thoughts on the Padres season overall.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, there. My son's getting ready to finish practice.
No worries.
Yeah, and the Padres, to me, outside of the Mets, most disappointing team in baseball. My son and I are in the car. We're going over the Padres lineup tonight. He is 11 years old. He's like, Daddy, how is it that the Padres are not good? I have no idea.
We don't know either.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I said back to him was, well, I mean, I guess if you pay a player over $300 million and his numbers look like Bogart's, I guess that's a good place to start. I mean, I think Xander's an amazing player. He just hasn't had a great year. I guess we could start there. Jake Cronenworth was incredible in the short sample that we saw over the last year and a half. And he's sort of, not been the guy that they thought, I guess. Pitching has been, in and out, but then again, you're going to have the Cy Young winner probably in the NL too. I think it's a little bit mystifying. I know the run differential shows that the Padres are a better team than what they've shown this season, but I don't think that's going to amount to anything. And the way that I look at this series, honestly, guys, is I think the Padres have to sweep or their season is over. I mean, the Marlins are right in their face. That's the team that they have the ability to chase down the Giants because they play them a little bit down the stretch. They have the ability to chase down Arizona because they play them too. The Padres cannot lose 2 out of 3 to Miami. I mean, I think that's it. If that is the case, they'll just be too far back.
It's amazing because they've had like 8 must-win games or series, and they're like 0-8. Yet somehow, again, the odds are
striking distance. They're in the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are incredibly against them at this point, but it's still not, obviously, to your point, impossible. But they cannot lose another series to the Marlins here. Craig, a couple more before you go. What's going on with Luis Ariz, who's finally come back to earth here the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, look, every player goes through slumps. I thought. I thought it was ridiculous that we were talking about the chase for 400 earlier in the season. It was insane. And And then, again, the talk was, well, maybe he could still hit 390. And oh, maybe he could still hit 380. And then it was, oh, maybe he could still hit 370. And look, it's just the nature of baseball. It's very hard to do what he did over the course of 4 months. He's come back down to earth. He's still going to lead the National League in hitting. Still definitely could hit 360, 370. But he's putting the ball in the air a lot, like popping up a lot. And look, he's still an incredible hitter. He's just outside the top 50 in WAR for the season for the first time since, I think, April. Just simply put, I think he's just going through a slump. And he's, actually, guys, the thing about him, too, for whatever reason, he's been great in Miami. He's been fantastic. But some of the road trips, he's come up short, and it just seems to be happening right now.
And then finally, Craig, before you go, would it be a surprise, even at this point, if the Marlins made the postseason? Like, do you find it more likely than not that they miss it or make the postseason?
Yeah, I'm updating now every day. I'm checking FanGraphs. So they were at over 50% a week ago, very close to the Cubs. They've now fallen behind Arizona. A lot of that has to do with strength of schedule. The Cubs have the easiest schedule in baseball left. So their percentage has moved up in the 50s. And then, of course, the Giants and Phillies are ahead of them. So I don't know if they're going to make it or not, but here's what I would say. The Marlins have exceeded the expectations that anybody could have had at the beginning of the season, and the fans got very greedy. They're 14 games over. You're feeling like, wow, this is the year. And then you realize that, it was a little bit of fool's gold. They weren't as good as being 14 games over. If they're going to get in, they're going to have to, I would think, play well above 500 the rest of the year. There's going to be teams in September that are just going to quit. We see it every season. And unfortunately for Miami, the Cubs play all those teams. So what am I saying? The bottom line is Miami controlled their own destiny, and they don't anymore. And in sports, when you control your own destiny, you're hoping for a lot of other things to happen. Every once in a while they do. Most of the time they don't. And that's the scenario they find themselves in right now.
Craig, we love your insight and perspective on the Marlins in Major League Baseball. We appreciate you doing it tonight in San Diego. Thank you.
Of course. Enjoy Garrett Cooper. Great guy there in San Diego. Guys, I love him. Hopefully it does well for you guys.
No doubt. Southern California.
We hope so,
Thank
too.
you. Thank you, Craig. Craig Mish, again, with the Miami Herald and MLB Network contributor as well. All right. On the other side, we can react to that, plus Jim's back page next. All right, Jim's back page. That's next. We never really mentioned Tommy Pham's return to Petco Park today. Maybe we'll get to that at some point tomorrow. Probably not, to be honest.
Because it deserves more than just a
passing
yeah,
hey.
no, end of the show, Tommy Pham.
Hey, what really did happen?
You see this, Brent?
Oh, the guy's shirt?
Not just that. He got into like a verbal altercation back and forth.
You don't have Instagram. You don't have Twitter. So
oh, no, I saw a buddy of mine sent it. The guy that had the Pacers
no,
shirt.
not that.
Oh, okay.
No.
You know what I'm talking about
Yeah,
with
that
that?
was
Okay.
beyond that. This
was a fan literally got ejected because of a back and forth like an altercation. Tommy Pham was in the on deck circle and literally was like due up and like had to finish his fight with the fan before he walked into the batter's box.
Yeah.
Typical.
And then he went to social media and said that the fan, he would pay him $100,000 to take a lie detector test on about what he said to him. And if he passed, he would get $100,000. But if he failed, he would have to be banned for life from every Major League Baseball stadium. He was that confident in that this fan
said whatever
he said that Tommy Pham's alleging.
And then Arizona's manager was like, man, his exact word was, these fans are terrible to Tommy. Like, I don't know, man. This happens with fan bases. I don't know. I don't know.
The same guy that tried to challenge a fan to fight after a game that one time.
A home fan,
yeah,
right? I know, but
yeah, no, I didn't see that. I saw the thing with the dude that had the Pacers T-shirt, and he said something about, I was like, yeah, I spent more money there than you'll ever see in your entire life.
Yeah, Mr. Clout boy over there.
All right, let's get to this.
John, do you know the voice of "It's me, Mario"?
No, Mario.
Not many people know. This
you
person's
told me
name.
it's. You said it before.
His name is Charles Martinet.
I thought you said it was Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt is the new voice of Mario in the Mario movie, which, by the way, I watched the other night. It's good.
Wait, it's out?
So, yeah, it's already out on
I thought we
Peacock.
were going to go see that.
No,
Okay.
no. I watched it. Have you seen it, Brent?
No, I don't have Peacock.
It's good. It's good. It's not like over crazy, but it's definitely hits all the right notes. Well, the original voice of Mario, is hanging up his, I guess, voice.
He's retiring?
He has announced his retirement from being the voice of Mario. He will be an ambassador to Nintendo and Mario and the universe and everything, but he will no longer be the voice of Mario going forward in
How
like
much
games.
money has
And,
that
oh
guy
my
made?
God, dude. So much money.
No, would he get like residuals for that? Like if
You
you're,
gotta think.
you know, if you're in a
This guy
movie
will
and every
sell.
time it plays on TV, you get like a
Yes,
check for a
have
nickel
to.
or whatever. So every time someone buys, you know, Mario World or something,
Have
does he
to.
get a
Yeah.
check?
Maybe. I
Is
don't
there
know.
only, what about like Bart Simpson, Marge? This has changed over like the 30 years, right? The voices of these Simpsons characters. It's
No.
always been the
No.
same for all
No.
that
Same,
time.
yeah.
The same, yeah.
Wow.
He's only 67 years old, so it's not like he's 85 or
Yeah.
90. So he's still he's still young to do the
Right.
voices.
And he's hanging it up.
I also think maybe Nintendo's push him out a little bit to
Are
get
you gonna-
some new voices in there.
Are you going to apply?
No, I will
You
not.
sound just like him.
It's me, Mario.
I'm going to apply and be like, it's me, Mario. You could get me at like 60% off.
He did say, "You are all number one in my heart."
What?
You are all number one in my heart.
John, it's me, Mario and Loogie.
Mario and Loogie.
It's my brother
Loogie.
Whatever.
Mario and Loogie. That'd be great. All right. So coming up here soon, as my phone is loading. Do you want to go see Barbie for $4? Well, National Cinema Day.
Well, you didn't let me answer it.
I don't want you to answer because you
Okay.
said no. National Cinema Day is coming with discounted tickets nationwide. On August 27th, it's National Cinema Day. I can't even speak. You can see latest blockbuster hits for just $4 on August 27th at more than 3,000 theaters across the U.S., including AMC and Regal chains. So obviously AMC and Regal, they have them here in San Diego, August 27th. You can go see movies for $4.
Just $4. That's a serious deal.
Reading and Grossmont is doing the same thing. So
Well, we should go.
Is August 27th on
We
what
might be
day is it
busy.
of the week? Hold on. It's
Is that Saturday?
no, it's
Sunday. Let's go Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah, you're
Come on,
probably
I have a
John. The
kid.
26th is Aztec Day.
I know.
soft. Finally, I love good, cards and different, things that were sold. Well, a original ticket stub for Jackie Robinson's debut game sold this past weekend for $300,000.
Whoa.
It's a PSA 3.
Oh my God. So it's not good condition card.
Well, it was back
But
in
so
the
long. Yeah.
so long ago. It was back in the
75
40s.
years. Yeah, exactly.
But that's a ticket stub.
Oh, ticket stub.
Yeah.
For $300,000?
$300,000. And it was originally bought for $3.
Wow.
$300,000 for a ticket stub
Yeah,
for
that's pretty
Jackie
crazy.
Robinson's game.
So the point is hold on to your stubs, but there are no stubs.
No, it's all digital. So
Hold
you're
on to your
screwed.
digital tickets.
Yeah,
Hold on to your phones.
Yeah.
All right. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, or YouTube. Search for John and Jim 760. Follow us on social media at John and Jim, JONANDJIM. We're back tomorrow at 3. We'll get you ready for Padres Marlins game 2. And this weekend between San Diego State and Ohio at Snapdragon Stadium. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. It's the all-new San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.